Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general mid-month reading for the sign of Leo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of June. I hope you are. I'm using the Shadow and Light Tarot for you today. So, if you haven't seen these videos before, I structure them slightly differently to the rest of my readings, in so much as we are looking for the lesson. I find it easier to navigate the energy that I'm in if I can detach from it somewhat and see the point of me being in it in the first place. It's kind of an exercise in perspective more than anything else. So to that end, what we're going to do is pull 3 cards for your current energy, and then we'll pull 3 cards and we'll ask what the lesson is. It could be that it's trying to show you something about yourself, show you something about your situation, or it could be that it's trying to pave the way for something new that's coming in. You know, we won't know until the cards hit the table. So we'll close out with some cards of advice, and hopefully that will make sense. So the sun's just about to go down over the horizon. It's really beautiful light. Let's pull 3 cards for Leo anyway. I have 3 cards for Leo's current energy, please. We have the Empress. I've got muddled cards everywhere. I'm going to put these on that one. Put all these back in. Thank you. We have the Page of Pentacles, and we have the 9 of Swords. Well, that makes sense. We've got a couple cards that are falling out to the right here. 9 of Pentacles and the 9 of Swords, and they both, the Ace of Swords, beg your pardon, and they both came out in the reverse. And we have the 4 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. I did rather wonder if this was going to be the tone of the reading. For those of you who don't know, I am a Leo, so I'm always slightly intrigued to see what these readings have to say. The 4 of Cups, if we can go to the shadow cards first, deals with sometimes rejection, rejecting, often too, being taken for granted, things like that. But it's... If you have a look there, that dude is just slumped against a tree, and I feel like this is a really good depiction of what Leo energy is at the moment. Interestingly enough, we do have the Strength card directly behind it, and I don't feel like that's a coincidence. Well, of course it's not a coincidence, right? It's the card of Leo, but it talks about navigating energy that is really difficult, right? And the strength and empowerment that comes from emerging through the other side. Right? That's what Leos are renowned for, right? Suffering adverse circumstances and coming out the other side. A little bit tatty of the ear, you know, maybe the mane is a little bit unkempt, but ultimately there's wisdom there, and there's empowerment there, and there's self-belief there. The thing is, when you see the Strength card appear, it's usually because you're having to draw on those reserves of strength that you have built up through being through these kind of situations before, to deal with what is right in front of you. And I do feel like Leo is in a bit of an abject slump at the moment. And it's the important thing to remember is that it's not a reflection on you. This is not you doing something wrong, Leo. And I really want to make that point. There's a certain level of deconstruction that seems to be going on at the moment. And this is not something that we are... oh my God, what's the word I'm looking for? Unfamiliar with, right? We started with the eclipse season in 2017. We started this process, and as one of my clients so beautifully put it, Leos were shown how to die so that they could be reborn. And that's where we are at the moment. It feels like it's a revisitation of that energy, and the important part of what feels like there we go. The best way to navigate this energy is to refer back to that time, right? You are not in the same place that you were in 2017, 2018, 2019. Like, things are much improved, but things are blowing up around you. And part of certainly what I've been exploring of late, and I feel like as a Leo stellium I am quite emblematic of the Leo collective, is a number of different nuanced things. First off, that relationship to power. You know, we got used to things being on an even keel again. You know, we kind of rebuilt after all of the trauma from before, and there was a confidence that was coming, you know, sort of thing. But what it seems to me is that there is some residue, right? There's some residual stuff left in our psyches that is still trying to attack. It is still trying to keep us in our place. You know, it is still trying to get us to not put ourselves out there quite so much. What that's about. It's easy to feel powerful when everything's going right. It's easy to feel powerful when you set a plan, a goal, and you hit it. Right? That's easy. What are you learning from that? Very, very little, except that, you know, on the day everything just went well and it was all good. If you really, really want to learn something, you have to feel like you have to feel like you're losing at it. Right? This is what shows you what you need to work on, and for Leos, it is absolutely this exploration of our relationship to power, how we maintain that feeling of personal empowerment when everything around us and the things that we're trying to put our energy into are all blowing up. Now, like, we see it reflected in the cards here really beautifully. We have the Empress, we have that new start that we're trying to gestate, we're trying to birth. You know, we're trying to bring something new into the world here. For some of us, it's an attempt to bring abundance in for those that we care for, those that we love, you know, and ourselves as well, also, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. For others of us, it's perhaps a subtler situation. It's a newer version of ourselves, one where we are taking control and everything works, you know. I'm just looking at this here and questions of faith. This is the card that precedes the Hierophant, which is all about faith and commitment. But it's also an incredibly vulnerable card. The Empress here is pregnant, and she's holding her pregnant belly. And if any of you have ever had children, you know what that's like. You know, you cradle it subconsciously without even thinking about it. You know, you feel vulnerable, sometimes far more so than when you're not pregnant, obviously. We are vulnerable at the moment. And almost at the mercy of things that we cannot control. And so there is a feeling of disempowerment that's coming with this. There is a feeling that we cannot quite bring to bear everything that we want to, anything that we want to possibly at this point. But this the new thing that we're working on so hard, that we're trying to bring in, it's not ready yet. It's not baked yet. Right? Pretty much from 18 weeks pregnant, I'm ready to give birth. I'm just like, I'm done. I hate being pregnant. I adore children, which is the only reason why I've done it a number of times. But this state doesn't sit well with me. And energetically, this is kind of the feeling of discomfort that I've got here. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're ready to give birth, that baby's not ready to come out yet. So you just got to stick it and just deal with it and get bigger and bigger and bigger and grumpier and grumpier and grumpier. And when it's ready, it will come. And it's so much better that it works that way, Leo. We've got the Page of Pentacles here. It's a painter. He's painting a scene in front of him. The Page of Pentacles is given to be the student. But for me, the Page of Pentacles always carries a meaning of an understanding of worth, an understanding of value, a new discovery of it. And I feel like at this time, Leo, you're being called to go deeper than you have ever gone before, to really explore what it is to be you, to be a powerful creature, and you are a powerful creature when you don't feel like you are, right? When your ability to affect the world around you seems to be limited or thwarted at every single turn, where you are called to have faith, and there is very little that is coming to validate that faith. And it's leaving you in this state here, in this Nine of Swords, because it's questioning everything. It's questioning your faith, it's questioning your power, it's questioning even this version of this identity that you have built for yourself since 2017, 2018. It's uncomfortable, it is difficult, it is really... It's really pushing you out of your comfort zone, because it's not letting you out of what has been your comfort zone. And as everything is starting to blow up, like the end of Fight Club, you know, where they stood in the high-rise and they're just watching all the buildings just go, you know, across the city. It feels like that, like everything that has been important for your stability, important for your security, not just for you, but for those that depend on you too. And this is why I feel like the anxiety is amped up to the nth degree. You've just got to sit and watch it. And not one thing that you're doing at the moment is allowing you to change it. You can't pick up your stuff and run. You can't hide. You can't go to safety. None of this is optional for you at this point. And the only thing that is available to you is to sit with the discomfort, is to examine it as it arises. Now, I spoke at length, actually, when I think about it, in the June reading for Leo. So if this is resonating with you at all, I would kind of recommend that you go and watch that video, because we really got into it there. And I don't want this to be a long lesson, get me, holy shit, a long video. Because you're not really blowing up, Leo. It's just taking a layer off, it's going deeper. And it's going to necessarily make you feel very fucking uncomfortable in the process. Holy shit. Start that again. What is the purpose of this energy, please? We have the Eight of Swords, that's interesting. We have the Ten of Swords, and we have the Three of Wands. We have the Knight of Pentacles now at the bottom of the deck. This is moving on from the Page, right? The Page is the discovery of the value, of the self-worth, of the important things, right? Of that self-generating, self-directed self-belief that is so critical for you at this time. And it's taking it and holding it front and center and saying it actually doesn't matter if I don't get the things that I've absolutely zoned in on. Like, where have you become attached to the outcome? And this is something that you need to think about, Leo. Maybe release the reins on that just a little bit. Because what's required of you right now is to put your belief, your self-belief, your self-value, all of these things, is to slap it on your chest and put it on the head of the horse that you're carrying. Even have it on your fucking shins, right? There's pentacles all over this dude here, right? Wear it as your armor moving forwards. And not need to be attached to the outcome. Like, you have everything that you need. The card underneath that absolutely confirms it. Now, this is something that I can feel resistance kicking up with immediately in me, because I'm like, I don't have everything that I need. I don't have a fucking house to live in. Thank you very much. You know, it'll come when it's ready. I don't like moving. Makes me feel very unsettled. Usually I have a house immediately to move into, and I don't right now, so the unsettled feeling is amplified to the nth degree, because not only do I have to provide a house for me, but also for my children. There are many other examples of exactly this kind of energy occurring in my immediate environment, and I imagine, Leo, if you sat and thought about it, it's probably the same for you. Those structures that you have relied upon, maybe even taken for granted for just a little bit, you know, the literal house that you live in, you know, where are these being kind of pulled away from you a little bit? Where are you being asked to sit with these feelings that are really fucking uncomfortable? Because it's probably everywhere, I'm thinking. The lesson is difficult. The very first card is the Ace of Swords. Now this is interesting as well as difficult, because it talks about the ways in which we limit our own thinking. And this is why I was coming back to this idea of, you know, there being some residue, there being something left within you that is still questioning whether you deserve X, Y, and Z. It's still got the capacity for self-sabotage. It's still got the capacity for doubt, right? And you know, if you need constant reassurance of something all the time, do you ever really believe it? You know, I'm fairly sure the definition of faith is believing something without there being any proof of it, you know. And I think your proof will come eventually. But where are you restricting what you do in the here and now? Right? Where are you suspending action in the here and now, while waiting for the proof to come in, right? Because we've expended loads of energy in lots of different outward directions in order to try and bring about the things that we need. But actually, it's all internal. Where have you become attached to the outcome? Where have you reverted to old thought patterns? It never works out for me. I should have expected it. Things always go wrong. I was literally saying to someone the other day, and it was interesting because I had to say this aloud before I realised that I thought it, and then I was just like looking at myself like, wow, there it is right there. I said, it doesn't matter how hard I try or how, you know, on the face of it successful I look, there's always somebody who's got some fucking power over me somewhere. There's always someone who can rattle my cage. There's always somebody who has a say that shouldn't have a fucking say and can dictate the way that my life moves forward. And as the words were coming out of my mouth, I was like, there it is. There it is right there. And it's all about perspective. It's not true. It's actually not even slightly true. Yes, I am feeling thwarted at the moment. Yes, I am feeling like it doesn't matter what I do, I keep butting my head against a wall. But those other people are kind of incidental to it. Yeah, they're catalysts for things happening in my life. But ultimately, the only thing that I can control is my perspective here. So, do I just keep, you know, hitting my head against a wall until it's a pulpy, bloody mess? Or do I sit back and consider what this energy is trying to show me? And what it's trying to show me is the way that I am limiting my own thinking, the way that you are limiting your own thinking. Furthermore, we have the Ten of Swords. A little bit of you's got to die. Again, Leo. But just as with last time, the things that you fought so hard to avoid letting go of turned out in the end not to be that much of a deal, you know. We fought tooth and nail until the point of utter exhaustion, and then we submitted, and then things got better. And now we don't even miss the things that we tried to hold on so very fucking hard to before, you know. They're just gone. We don't miss them because we filled our lives with better things. What are you fighting, Leo? I bet it's the feelings of discomfort and destabilization, the feeling of powerlessness, the lack of faith, the doubt. Where are you trying to write a new story with an old script? Because the things that are in store for you, Leo, are too big. to take that kind of mentality with you. They've got to go. You've got to let them die. And it isn't a comfortable process. But you've been here before. What do you know now that you didn't know then? What can you bring to this situation to help ease your way through it? Right? Where do you need to submit? Where do you need to stop fighting? Where can you be doing something else? Right? Better use of your time. Definitely shadow work. We're using the Shadow and Light Tarot, and I don't pick the decks. The decks pick themselves for the readings, and it's a dark deck that's come out here for you. It is shadowy in nature, for sure. So we go from the mind to the lived experience outside. Where do you need to change your behavior? It starts with your mind, will inevitably end up rippling out to outside of you. Whatever residue is in there at the moment, the self-doubt, the lack of faith, all of those things, they're almost playing out in front of you. You're almost creating exactly the situation that you fear. So you change the way you perceive it, you change the way you look at it. And you change the way that you behave within this space. No, I'm serious. Go back to 2017, 2018, 2019. Go back to the point at which you submitted. Go back to the point at which you decided to do things differently. What changed? Everything changed. It was a long, slow process, but you turned a corner. What do you know now that you didn't know then? Loads of things. Loads and loads of things. You can't resist this kind of energy. You know that. You've been here before. You can only accept it and roll with it and attempt to be as graceful as possible. Can I have some cards of advice, please? We have the King of Pentacles. We have the Ace of Wands. And we have the Two of Pentacles. It's really interesting. The funny thing is, there's a couple of different messages here, and they're actually really positive. We've got the Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, which deals with poverty, and it deals with lack. It deals with exactly those things that I was talking about before. You know, it might be that you're afraid of being poor or something like that, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like something much deeper, although a poverty consciousness, poverty mindset will often find its expression in, you know, a difficult relationship with money, and that's actually quite a common thing for Leos, you know. But underneath it we have the Judgment card and the Page of Cups. Judgment card equals Judgment Day. You know, and what have we got coming out of that dude right in the centre there? It's a fucking phoenix, Leo. You're being required to die so that you can be reborn. Bigger and better and brighter and bolder than you ever were before. It's all... I do this every single Leo reading, but it comes back to that 6-month reading I did. So the whole fucking period was all about the elimination of doubt, because it was so very fucking important that you had complete and utter self-belief. Unshakable, unswervable self-belief that didn't require anybody else to validate it. You know, it was coming from within. We've got it here. The poverty mindset's got to go, Leo. Any way in which you hold yourself back, it's got to go. Any way that you feel like you're not deserving of something, that's got to go. The doubt's got to go. The lack of faith, it's got to go. All of it. It's all got to go. And we start again with the Page of Cups. Changed emotional behaviour. And it's about acceptance. It's about forgiveness. It's about compassion towards ourselves. Now, we're so much better than we were before. But there's always work to be done. The work is never done. So we have the King of Pentacles here, like I said, and this Ace of Wands. And in some ways you can see these being at opposite ends of the spectrum from each other. We've got the Two of Pentacles sat at the end there. The King of Pentacles is the king of delayed gratification. Everything about the earth element is delayed. You plant that seed and then you nurture it and you grow it, and it might take 40 years before that tree is going to start fucking producing horse chestnuts or acorns or whatever it is, you know. But the King of Pentacles is quite happy to do that. It's always about pushing that away. On the other end of the spectrum, we have the Ace of Wands. That immediacy, the right now, it has to happen right now. You know, the true place to sit is somewhere in between. It's using this as motivation for a longer term goal, a longer term plan. Find a way to balance the two. But the other thing that it says to me, Leo, and it is highly positive, is that what you want will come. That responsibility that you take so seriously, that need to provide security and stability for you and your loved ones, is on its way. It's just taking time, and it is gonna take time. And so with the Ace of Wands, it's all about doing things differently. The whole wand suit is about living and experience, right? It's about the way that you show up here. Right, how your soul shows up, how you know your meat sack turns up, you know, whatever. You as a whole package, and it needs regeneration. You know, as the cards sit here on my table, you've got the Ten of Swords right in the center of the reading. There is the death, and then directly underneath it is the Ace of Wands. There is the rebirth. It's right there. But what you want, Leo, is coming to you, but so much bigger and better than you dared hope. That you need to scrub any part of you that doubts that doesn't have faith that it will happen, that might sabotage it when it did come in because you don't quite feel like you deserve it. And ultimately, where you feel disempowered, it kind of leads you to feel like just giving up. And you're just like, well, fuck it, I can't do this. Right? I'm obviously not as good as I thought. I was obviously not as this, that, and the other. You know, this is about resilience. This is about keeping that faith, keeping that hope alive. Not even hope, expectation, knowledge. And accepting what is happening now is happening for a good reason. Because it always happens for a good reason. It's always better on the other side. And this constant process of evolution, although tricky, it's setting you up for something really, really big. Okay, Leo, I'm going to leave it there. I think I've said enough. I'll link the Leo video at the end. I'll probably put it here. So, know that I love you all very much, and I will see you on Monday for the weekly reads.